Okay, I think it's time to get started. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Sabarinathan Sampath, and I'm Senior Vice President with RACNAP. And today, the focus of my session is talking about how do you simplify or demystify the management and delivery of cloud services, right? And how RACNAP can help you in the process. I hope you're still able to see my screen. Right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so now if you look at it, I mean, Gurpreet in the earlier session talked about, the cloud strategy, how we should be going into the cloud, etc., etc. And sometimes you do wonder what is so complex about it. How do you deliver this? I mean, how do you get the cloud consumer to use this? And how do you manage the whole aspect of the delivery as well? So there are lots of problems associated with it. For example, you might need to have, let's say, a pretty robust marketplace with which you may want to, offer the service to the customers. And the next one is you need to have a good integration capability with the cloud providers, like, the public cloud providers like AWS, Microsoft, IBM, Google, etc. You will need to have a good integration with it. Then very important to have, for example, a payment support to go with it, because you need to be able to bill the customers on a regular basis with payment options included in it. And then the whole automation part of it, to the ordering till the activation, we call it O2A, in that the whole aspect of the automation journey needs to be handled properly. Okay? Then there is self-service to be taken care. Then we have pricing management. We have a lot of pricing to be, adjusted for different products and services, etc., etc. Then you have the most important part, billing. Customers are very worried about whether they're being billed correctly or not. So it's very important to handle that also effectively. And you need to notify the customers on a regular basis with appropriate alerts as well, to tell them that this is how much they have consumed, this is how much is their bill, etc., etc. You need to have constant communication with them. And then we have sales lead management, because it's very important that you cannot survive with the existing customer captive base. You need to expand your reach. You need to increase your leads. So sales lead management is very crucial. Support process management is crucial. Inventory checking is crucial. If you think about it, it's a huge number of things to consider for you to be able to manage and deliver this. So it might be mind-blowing for someone to think that there is a huge amount of things to take care. So obviously you might be wondering, okay, I mean, it's too overwhelming for me. How do I go about managing this effectively so that I can start offering this in an efficient way to my customers? Okay, so obviously that looked like a very daunting task. And obviously, if you look at it in a very simplistic way, you need to have some mechanism of, offering all of this in one place, and you need to actually keep it simple. The moment you think about every single thing to be identified and managed, it becomes too overwhelming. And you need to bring that efficiency factor in all of this, right? What is so important is it might look so overwhelming, but if you bring in that automation element in it, then it can help you with easily delivering this service. So this session is all about, how RACNAP as an automation platform is able to help manage the delivery of this, and also being able to bring that efficiency factor in for you as a CSP. Okay, so before we get deep into the session, I'm keen to have this to be a very interactive session. So I'm also keen to understand what kind of audience do we have in this session, in this forum, right? So I've just done a poll right now to understand what category of people do we have here. You know, do we have CSPs? Do we have system integrators? Are you someone who is still offering, you know, traditional services, etc.? So just keen to understand that. You know, this will help us to really, you know, nail down the key points what typical, you know, CSPs would need. Okay. So I'm having a good response so far. I can see already the results coming in from the poll from various people. Let's give it another 20 seconds for all the results to come in before we get into the next session, next set of the presentation. Okay, I think we'll pause the poll right now and let's share the results. The results very clearly state that a good proportion of the audience here, they are CSPs, right? About 40% of them are CSPs, right? Now let's look at one more category. Like I highlighted some of the challenges earlier, you know, around pricing could be a challenge, for example, you know, sales lead management could be a challenge, billing is a big challenge, etc. So I'm keen to understand from you as predominant, you know, people in this audience of CSPs, I'm keen to understand what are the challenges you face. You know, it's very important to understand and relate to what you think you face from your you know, business as such. Has some interesting responses coming through. For example, you know, absence of a marketplace, because you want to have a low touch business model where you want to have some kind of a volume business where marketplace is there, customers come in and make a purchase automatically. Otherwise, you know, for example, as you start growing your business, billing could be a big challenge as well, you know. So it's very keen to get to understand all of that kind of aspect around what are the key things which happen at your end. Okay, a good proportion of the audience have voted now. So let's look at the results. I think this very much aligns with what we have been hearing all the way, which is primarily to state billing is the key challenge. Okay. Then subsequently, there is absence of marketplace and a lack of self-service portal comes in as well. So it's very important to notice that billing is the biggest challenge, and RackNav as an automation platform is able to help you with that, and that's what's going to be the focus of my session from here on. Okay. So let's get deep into the session right now. So I think if you look at it here, what is RackNav? RackNav is primarily a cloud services delivery platform, you know, targeted at CSPs, telcos, data center providers, SIs, system integrators, and hosters. You know, helping them with a number of capabilities. Right? So, for example, RackNav helps you with automation capability, whereby CSPs can find a lot of benefit with that. Okay, and the next one is, for example, looking at from a billing standpoint, RackNav can help with, you know, automation billing capabilities with different services. For example, with domain registrations, with web hosting and Plesk, etc., and with different VPSs offered from, you know, using Virtuoso or OpenStack or Windows Azure Pack, etc., or with all the new age cloud services like Office 365 Azure, AWS, IBM SoftLayer, etc. as well. Okay, so apart from the key elements of the automation and billing capabilities, you need a number of things to be able to run your backend business, right? So you need to be able to have a good support function in place. You need to have a good sales and marketing function in place. You need to have a very effective inventory control in place. You know, only then you'll be able to offer or run a very effective business. So RackNav is this all-encompassing tool which helps you to be able to manage and deliver cloud services in a very simplistic way. Okay? So let's look at what is the value proposition of RackNav and what makes it unique. Why is it different from others? Are there other platforms out there whereby RackNav is able to differentiate it? So if you look at it, RackNav offers a unified marketplace. To be able to sell cloud and non-cloud services. You as a CSP, you may be selling, for example, Azure and AWS, etc. But these are infra services. But customers are demanding solutions, right? Customers are demanding solutions. So RackNav is able to help you to offer, cloud and non-cloud services, including managed services, professional services, etc., via the marketplace for the customers to purchase, right? And also the other key aspect around the challenge, what we just saw, is billing options. Customers don't necessarily get the flexibility with billing options, and this is where one of the key elements which RackNav differentiates itself. So RackNav is able to actually differentiate itself from other platforms by offering flexible billing models. We can do prepaid billing, postpaid billing, pay-per-use billing, which is purely based on consumption model. RackNav is able to do that as well. And the business model, what we are seeing right now from a lot of CSPs is you start small and then expand. It's like land and expand model, where when you're starting small, you need to think about ways by which you can upsell and cross-sell new services, right? And other aspect around self-service portal, right? Because customers need to be empowered. The employees of the CSPs need to be empowered. This is the fundamental theme of digital transformation, right? So the employees should be empowered, customers should be empowered. And this is where RackNav self-service portal comes in to empower the customer to perform all of these functions by himself. Then the other aspects around ticketing, because Microsoft, for example, mandates you as a CSP to be able to offer support capability to your end customers, right? So you as a CSP, you should be able to have some mechanism of being able to track support tickets, etc., and then be able to interact with the customer to understand their problems and be able to resolve them. So ticketing module is very vital. Then we have a RackNav also caters to two different models, like a B2B model where you can sell to channel partners, and then they can sell to end customers. And then B2C is from a end customer standpoint. The sales life cycle can be tracked, and BI capabilities for management team to be able to understand how they help the business is doing. So all what I said so far is visually represented here as some kind of a functional overview, right? So if you look at this here, right, so RackNav offers a white labeled marketplace, right? So if you are someone who is offering products and services to end customers, you definitely will be needing a marketplace to be able to sell that. So RackNav offers that marketplace capability. RackNav helps you to directly sell to customers, indirectly via channel partners as well. So RackNav is able to cater to the needs of large distributors, etc., who are typically called, in the master CSPs in the new world, and also the other CSPs who sell directly as well. Okay? And there are a lot of CSPs in here, or probably you can say hosters in this session here, who are currently selling traditional services. They're selling VPSs, dedicated servers, web services like shared hosting, WordPress hosting, etc. And obviously they cannot drop this business and just start afresh in cloud. They still need to be in a position to be able to sell those existing services and cater to the existing customer audiences, right? So what RackNav is able to do is still continue to help those existing customers as well to run their business, and then be able to offer new age cloud services, which includes Office 365, Azure public cloud, etc. And what is interesting, if you see here, here is you're also seeing, you know, other multi-cloud providers as well, other cloud providers also in here, right? So for example, you can see Amazon Web Services, IBM SoftLayer. If you're having some data center assets, you can use that to offer, for example, OpenStack, etc. So you're not constrained by just this list here, because RackNav is a true multi-cloud enablement platform, helping to offer multi-cloud services to end customers, right? So as a CSP, you can use the platform to offer these services to end customers, right? And one other important aspect is you're not, I think in the earlier session, Jan was mentioning more from Plest perspective, whether there is automation. But yes, we do have direct automation enabled with Plest control panel, whereby you can provision the Plest licenses directly and get those assigned automatically to your particular machines, etc. as well. So RackNav has direct integration with Plest. It also has integration with OpenSRS, logic boxes, etc. as well from a domain standpoint. So RackNav is, if to summarize this section here, RackNav is able to combine traditional services with the new age cloud services to be able to offer to end customers in one place. That's why it's a unified platform helping to bring everything together. It's an aggregation platform. It's a cloud brokerage platform helping to bring services together under one umbrella. Okay? And all of these, what you're seeing here, is powered by these modules here. Now, for example, you have an ordering module helping the customers to place orders, bundle services, because all the time it is very important to be able to find out the right combination of the bundle you want to sell to customers, you know. So for example, when someone is starting a new business, they will typically be needing something for an online presence. You know, they'll typically be needing some kind of an email for their business. So which means you can offer them website solutions along with domains, along with, let's say, Office 365 emails, etc. So from a bundling standpoint, RackNav's ordering capability helps you with bundles. Billing, very strong capability of RackNav, which offers different capabilities around prepaid, postpaid, pay-per-use, etc. From a provisioning standpoint, where we have automation enabled for a number of these services, RackNav can actually be able to provision these services automatically. Okay, and also the other important aspect is, for example, there may be services which may not currently be automatically provisionable, right? So in those scenarios, what do? You know, RackNav offers you a good workflow engine to be able to manage that effectively. Right? So provisioning capability is managed there. Customers get a self-service portal. Customers do get a support module to be able to log support tickets. It is a homegrown CRM module. Inventory management capabilities enabled. Sales and marketing, you need to be able to track all your sales leads coming in, and also being able to convert them, track that full life cycle and all of that. And it's very important to have that fully aligned. And then partner management, as I mentioned, RackNav also caters to the needs of B2B segment, whereby it can help channel partners to come in and then be able to use the platform to be able to sell to end customers. And also, another important thing is the channel partners do get a marketplace for them as well. You know, it's very important to note that these channel partners, they are also looking for help from you as a CSP to expand their business. So you empower them with the marketplace. You empower the channel partners with a partner management module to manage all of this interaction, etc. Okay. And last but not the least is business intelligence. Obviously, if you want to run your business effectively, you need to be in a position to understand what's going on in your business, right? So it's very important to have that capability also with understanding what your business is doing, right? So, and I have some interesting questions which I'm able to see on the chat window. I'll take them as we go. For example, there's a question about, can we add our own products and services Of course, most certainly, this is one of the unique features of RackNav. You're not constrained by what you're seeing on the chat, on the screen here. You are effectively able to add your own products and services. That's the beauty of RackNav. So you can add them, you can build them. It's like a subscription service, right? Let's say you have your own IP, which you have built over a number of years. You put them in the marketplace. The marketplace is a WordPress-based one. You put them in there. You can define the plan and the pricing for your product, and then start billing the customer who has purchased it as well, right? So you can automatically do that. And if you want, for example, this application or your product to be controlled from RackNav, then we will need to build some kind of an API integration for it. Otherwise, if you are not keen on API integration, you are ready to go straight away. Okay, I hope that answers the question what you asked. So and also the other thing is, do we have any integration available with Crayons or Reddington, etc.? So we do have readily available integration with Crayon. So if you are an indirect partner already working with Crayon, bring them on. You can use RackNav to be able to sell products and services as well, which Crayon is offering, because Crayon's products will be made available in the RackNav marketplace. Okay, so that is definitely a good plus point of RackNav. And then, can I opt for my own billing date? Yes, you can change the billing date as you like, because as you may imagine, Microsoft offers, for example, services for you and bills you on a different date. For example, it could be 10th for your business, right? So you can choose your own billing date with which you can bill your end customers, right? So there is flexible billing date possible already. Right? And are we able to offer cPanel dedicated servers, VPS, shared hosting to our end customers? Most certainly, right? The evolution of RackNav actually started off with a hosting company using it, and so RackNav has pretty robust capabilities to be able to offer dedicated VPS and shared hosting services with the Plesk and cPanel as well. So talk to us more to understand, how do we go about it. At the end of this session, we have the email, which is touch@racknav.com. Please write to us, and we can discuss it a lot more in detail offline. Okay, so with that, just to go back to this slide deck here, RackNav is a full-blown ERP of cloud services, helping to automate the provision of cloud services and help build them as well. Okay, so what we have so far looked at is primarily the broader capabilities, right? And I want to dig deep into the individual modules, but prior to that, probably I'll go into marketplace and then show you a live demonstration of how a customer's purchasing journey would look like. Right? So for example, RackNav offers a white label marketplace to you as a CSP. So what does this include? What is so special about this marketplace? So this marketplace is SEO optimized. So some of you may wonder what's so big about this, right? So I'm sure you are aware there is so much competition in the market. There are so many CSPs in the market who are vying for the pie of the cloud consumer. So it's not good enough if your marketplace appears on the 4th page of Google searches, right? It needs to appear right in the first page, right in the visible line without any scrolling. That's where you get the clicks, right? So RackNav will help you with offering a SEO optimized marketplace, right? And this is WordPress based. So WordPress is world's largest CMS. So which means RackNav gives you the tool, which is very simplistic, whereby you can update your own content for your marketplace by yourself. So you don't need to be dependent on us to be able to do it. So self-service is the whole mantra here. So we give you the control to do it yourself. Then you sell cloud and non-cloud services. Yes, of course you can sell all of them. right? I think there was a question earlier in the forum from one of the attendees asking about that, right? So yes, definitely RackNav can do that. And also automatic provisioning and manual provisioning capabilities are enabled. There is self-service and assisted purchase model enabled on RackNav, whereby customers can make a purchase themselves, and some customers may still be a bit jittery about making the purchase, so they can contact the salespeople, and the salespeople can help with that purchase, right? Another important aspect is to collect billing information, in terms of money from the customer. So you can collect, payments using PayPal, Network International, CyberSource, blah blah blah, etc. And very important, RackNav is multilingual enabled. So RackNav can handle different languages, and also it is also multi-currency enabled. Okay, there's an interesting question about how do you handle manual provisioning, right? So manual provisioning is handled by the fact that, let's assume you have a particular, let's say, managed services plan which you are offering to your end customers. You're defining a silver plan, gold plan, and a platinum plan, right? So how do you provision this? So basically, you get the customer to make a purchase of this plan online, and at the end of the purchasing journey, you are able to actually get the customer to pay for that, and then this provisioning plan is put in a provisioning queue. So which means when you have started delivering this service, this provisioning of this managed services, then RackNav will automatically bill the customer accordingly based on the delivery schedule what you have defined. So there is a workflow engine which is available, with which RackNav is able to manage that. Okay, so I'm just conscious about time. I want to quickly show some capabilities of the platform from a customer standpoint. So this is a website of a CSP tier 1 who is selling direct lead to end customers. If you see here, and this is basically the customer which Gurpreet took earlier, Zenith Live, and they've transformed as a part of the digital transformation era and started offering cloud services in here. So if you look at it here, they're offering, for example, in Office 365, where there is some kind of an offer going on right now. Okay, so again, we'll give you as a website something similar, which is attractive, which stands out in the amongst the customers, etc. And obviously, Microsoft, as you may imagine, offers tons of SKUs or plans, and you may decide for your target audience to offer only a small subset of the plans here. So if you look at it here, this is very attractively designed. So the customer actually selects the domain which he wants to associate this particular email package with. And let's say this end customer says, I need to have 7 emails to go with this particular Office 365 package, right? So for example, I'm just doing this particular domain search, and RackNav is integrated with logic boxes and TrustP and OpenSRS, with which it is able to offer live domain provisioning as well to be associated with these email packages. So if you see here, this domain is available, a live domain check was done, and the customer was able to see his domain automatically added, and these are the plans, etc. And one other unique thing with RackNav is able to offer plans with different billing frequencies. So you can offer it in a monthly frequency, yearly frequency, quarterly, biannual, etc., etc. And also RackNav can handle multiple currencies as well, as I mentioned earlier. So with which it can charge customers with different billing options as well. Okay, so the customer now decides to say, okay, I'm happy with the monthly payment plan, this is the total pricing, etc. And now this is the onboarding form. This is exactly how the customer is able to get onboarded onto the RackNav platform or registered into your systems, right? So with this, when the new customer puts in his details, it clicks on terms and conditions and CAPTCHA for checks as well, then the customers actually register on the platform, right? So I'm just going to simulate the behavior of a customer where he's already registered with Zenith Live. And if you see here, this is basically effectively his shopping cart. And on the right-hand side, you can see the pricing, the domain, the plans, etc. And there is some taxation also applied. So RackNav can handle different taxation options for your region and for your country. RackNav is capable of generating generating, attaching taxes per product or compounded taxes, etc. as well. And one other important aspect what you're seeing is promotion codes or coupon codes. So with this, you are able to actually promote any offers or anything, and the customers who have the promotion code can apply this and get appropriate discounts. And on the left hand side, you can see different payment gateways configured, and if you are offering a prepaid model of a service, then customers can choose, for example, the appropriate payment gateways, and with those payment gateways you are able to collect the payment and get that provision, get that service provision for the customer, right? So, and you may be asking the question, hey, I don't have all of my customers being able to provision the services automatically, right? So how do I get in a sort of a post-paid model done? So what we will do is we'll configure the platform for you to say offline mode or post-paid model, and then provision the service and get the services billed at the end of the billing cycle. So RackNav has capability to do that as well. Okay, and the other thing is, for example, you may also be, for example, I mean, we have chosen a small subset of the payment gateways here. There are a few more other payment gateways as well, so you can choose to use any of those as well. So when the customer clicks on Pay Now, then the direct integration is established with the payment gateway. Services get to provision automatically. So because we have direct API integration with the Microsoft CSP portal, RackNav is able to get these services provisioned automatically for your end customer. The customer gets an email to say, hey, this is my service, what I purchased, blah, 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 etc. Okay, so that's a simplistic view of how a purchasing journey for an Office 365 customer looks like. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly jump into showing something for Azure as well, because from a cloud services standpoint, pay-per-use model is something very, very crucial. And now let me show you how the pay-per-use model of billing works for an Azure customer, right? Customer who's wanting to buy Azure. So for example, from a Microsoft Azure standpoint, RackNav can connect to your sandbox account of Microsoft CSP portal and then offer, for example, sort of a try now option for your end customers. So which means that your end customers can actually go and start playing with Microsoft Azure before they purchase it. Or we can connect directly to the live production environment of your environment so that the customers can provision these services directly. Okay, so if you look at it here, the customer now purchases a pay-per-use model for Azure, which means he has to pay only at the end of his billing cycle, right? So when he has to pay at the end of his billing cycle, you might be asking, hey, what is this Azure fund here, right? So what this is in a pay-per-use model, I'm sure you acknowledge there is always a risk of the customer not paying you, right? Because it's very important that you get money, as a secure flow coming in. But there is always that risk associated, because Microsoft will still bill you, but if the customer has not paid you, you have the risk. So to mitigate that risk, RackNav offers some kind of a security deposit or a budget limit or a credit limit for you to collect some money upfront from the customer, so that in the worst case scenario, you are not being paid by the customer, you have at least some safety net, right? So this amount is completely controlled by you. You have the liberty to choose the amount what you want to collect for your organization and for your business, right? So now, for example, in this here, I'm just going to check whether this particular host name is available for the Azure. So here, what we're trying to do is we're just provisioning an Azure subscription, right? We are not provisioning any virtual machine instances. We are not provisioning, any databases or anything like that. We are purely provisioning an Azure empty subscription. So once the payment for the 5,000 is done, the subscription gets a provision for the end customer. He will get his subscription details by email. So once he gets the details, he's able to do a lot of functions. right? So I'm just going to summarize what we looked at so far. We looked at the purchasing flow of the customer, being able to perform all the purchasing functions now. So let's look at the management journey. What are the services he can manage, because one of the pain points, what you mentioned as a part of your challenge, is the customer not having a self-service control panel. And this is where RackNav differentiates itself also. RackNav gives you, a customer, a self-service control panel. So if you look at it, this is the customer who I made the purchase with. He is able to look at all his services, what he purchased. For example, let me look at Azure. So these are current services. These are basically the services what he made a purchase with. So this is the name of the plan. This is, for example, the test domain which I used. And these are the subscription details. So Microsoft Portal integration with RackNav enables us to retrieve this information dynamically from Microsoft to be able to handle this effectively. Right? So now, with the customer having received all these details, he is at liberty to go and create his virtual machines. He can create his databases. He can create the other functions and download certain stuff, add load balancer, use analytics, any service. It doesn't matter what service he consumes, right? So what RackNav is able to do is collect usage from Microsoft for any service what he consumes. So for example, if you look at it here, RackNav gives you, a customer, the flexibility to select the usage for a particular period and click on show, which means RackNav goes and collects usage from Microsoft and then displays this as a consumption in terms of itemized listing. So if you look at it here, this is effectively the consumption details as reported from Microsoft for the customer. If you look at it, the customer has consumed some virtual machines, has consumed some storage, has consumed some network, some data services, blah, 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 etc. And on the right-hand side, you can see the actual cost details in here, along with consumption. So consumption is for the appropriate SKU or reference in here. The customer is able to consume the services, and then this consumption gets reported here with API integration done, right? And you will be asking the question, hey, what is this rate option? Can I set my rates in here on top of the Microsoft cost price? Yes, the answer is yes. So Microsoft gives you every SKU, for example, let's say in $1, right? For example, the compute hours is $1 per hour. So what RackNav is able to do is give you the flexibility to be able to set margins on top of that $1. So which means, let's say you want to achieve a 30% margin. So RackNav will apply a price of $1.30 against that particular SKU reference. So this will be the appropriate selling price or the retail price for the end customer. This is the actual consumption, and there you get the actual value in terms of the budget, right, or consumed so far, right? So what RackNav is able to do is, it's very important that we get the usage, right? This is on a daily basis, it collects the usage, etc., etc., right? And now what it's able to do is it is able to compare this usage against the budget limit what we saw earlier. 5,000 was the budget limit and 1,400 was the actual consumption so far. So RackNav is able to alert the customer to say, hey customer, you have consumed 40% of your total budget allocated. So which means like your bills, what you get from your telecom operator, you typically receive a message, so you consume 2 GB or 5 GB of data, blah, blah, blah. RackNav is able to do that as well on a regular basis. So RackNav can alert the customer for various thresholds and then be able to bill the customer when the appropriate billing cycle appears as well. So to summarize what we looked at so far, customers control panel where they can look at all the services, etc., and also You can also be able to look at, for example, upgrades and downgrades as well of some services as well. So for example, Office 365, this is basically the domain use, the actual subscription details of the Office license, the customer purchase an yearly plan, and also this is the start date, end date of the service, recurring payments, etc. And renewals, very important that you give self-service for the customer to renew his service. So he can renew it directly from here, which means it will be automatically renewed to the Microsoft portal as well. And then on top of it, you also are able to add additional licenses from here directly, right? So you are still able to perform all of these functions, and you're empowering the customer to do it himself. So what is the end benefit of all of this? The end benefit is you save time, you save effort of your people in doing all of this, because this is handled directly by the customer. And RackNav helps you with all of this in a very transparent way by doing this all for you. Right, that's where RackNav stands out. Right, then the other important aspect is being able to get the customer to submit support tickets. For example, customer says, I have a problem with this particular service, right? And he's logging a support ticket. He's saying, I have a problem with FTP. And RackNav is able to do a predefined set of knowledge-based articles to say, hey, what kind of issue are you facing? Are you facing an access denied error? Or are you facing an uploading issue? So RackNav was able to get help for him in a predefined way, and this particular option can be completely controlled by you. You as the CSP, you have complete control over to define these KB articles and knowledge base, etc., as well. Right. One other important thing which I'm very keen to showcase is the billing options. You know, customer has a full-blown ledger functionality where customer himself can look at actual services, what he purchased, the actual credit notes, receipts, invoices, blah, 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 etc. So all of this can be looked at by the customer by himself. Right. So this is all the capabilities what RackNav is able to offer as a part of its self-service capability. You know, it's very important to understand what the customer is able to do, and this is exactly where RackNav gives the power to the customer to manage everything by himself. Right. So now let's quickly go through, for example, a quick question about how many of you do have some kind of an automation platform like RackNav to be able to perform these functions for you, right? So we're keen to understand, like, do you have something already, or do you need some help from us? You know, because RackNav has done it over a number of years and is able to help you with that as well, right? And I can see a good proportion of them saying we don't have anything right now. We might need some help from RackNav, right? Or some kind of a tool to be able to help them with that, right? So if I look at, for example, the poll right now, I'm just able to publish it right now. Right, a good proportion, right? A good proportion, 70% almost, to say they don't have anything. So they have a problem in terms of not running their business effectively. So RackNav can step in to help there, you know. So please get in touch with us at touch@racknav.com to get to know more about how RackNav can help you with some kind of an automation capability. So I'm conscious about time. So to summarize what we have looked at so far, we looked at the purchasing capability of a customer, where he can make a purchase online to be able to get his services provisioned. Then we looked at the customer self-service capability, where he's actually able to perform all functions without much of a hassle, without troubling the CSP that much. This is again where RackNav differentiates itself, right? And also, if now I want to show you what you as CSP get your hands onto. You know, it's very important that you understand, you as a CSP, what do you get, right? So for example, RackNav, for example, gives you capability to manage a number of these things, whereby you can look at, from a dashboard perspective, a number of reports, right? So I'm going to show you some dashboard reports, because these are business intelligence reports helping you to run your business effectively, right? So for example, if you look at it here, the refresh paid invoices, there are things around. You can count how many invoices have been done, or you can do it on an amount basis as well. And there are plenty of other reports like this. For example, you can look at revenue from a gross receipts perspective, total number of receipts perspective. This is just dummy data, so you can just visualize how these reports would look like. And also, for example, you can also export some of these into, for example, a JPEG or some kind of a reporting format with which you can attach these to any of your board presentations or anything like that as well. So these are predominantly looking at counts. You can also look at invoice amount values, etc., as well. And there are plenty of dashboard reports like this for you as a CSP to get to know more about how your business is running. So for example, if you want to look at, let's say, how much of your let's say cloud sales you're doing, so you can categorize this in terms of total number of count and volumes, etc., to understand realistic pictures, whether your fresh sales is doing well, your renewal sales is doing well, your upgrades are doing well. If you look at it here, renewals are showing a stronger pattern, right? So you can start working with your sales team to effectively understand what help you can offer them to win more new business, etc., right? So I'm just giving you a glimpse of the dashboard reports available. There are plenty of reports available. One day is not sufficient to showcase everything to you. So now I just want to show you a quick look at the end customer's record. I want to show you how you can understand what is record information stored against the database for the end customer. So this is the full details of the customer. This shows, for example, how much money he owes. It's a bright green because the customer does not owe any money. If there is money to be owed, it will show a bright red, for example. And you can look at the services which are due for renewal. So when you are CRM people, when your customer service agents talk to the customer, they will know exactly that there are 2 services due for renewal. So now is the time to talk about renewals, right? You can talk about upselling, you can talk about cross-selling. So the moment you've talked about it, you can add an order directly here. You can add you can add leads and potentials from here. So all in one place for you to manage. If you think about it, if you're using different platforms, then it's not an efficient way to manage it, because you'll have to jump into different systems, etc. But RackNav simplifies that for you. It is able to do everything together in one place. And if you want to, let's say, log on to his customer's record, you click on login to control panel, where it will automatically log into his record for him to manage the services as well. And for example, you can also look at ledger information, etc. as well, where you can look at what is the money he owes, etc., As I said, this is dummy data, so this is purely just for test purposes only. So there's quite a lot of useful information available against the customer's record, right? So now let's quickly jump into, let's say, the product manager's portfolio, or probably before we go into that, let's look at, let's say, a salesperson's perspective. There are 25 or 26 more days for this month to end. The sales guy is really keen, or the sales manager is really keen to understand, hey, what is my renewal going to be for the end of this month for a particular product type, right? So the customer can actually go in, the CSP can go in and say, show me all the services which are due for renewal in the next 25 days. So when you click on search, this is basically the result which comes up. So for example, there are 4 customers who have 4 services due for renewal for this particular amount, right? And if you want to look at the individual services here, you click on them in here, it will show you the full details, and you can actually communicate with the customer with the details of what you saw here, right? So it's very important for you as a salesperson to understand this information, so that you can start forecasting for your team and organization accordingly. Okay, so now in the interest of time, let me quickly go into a couple more records as well, so that you can understand how this is shaping up. Okay. So now if I want to show you something, for example, from a support standpoint, right? So you want to look at customers having sent you support tickets, right? So all the support tickets, they appear in one place here. So whoever is the customer who has logged the support tickets, they appear in one place. So you don't need a separate ticketing module to manage all of this. Everything is in one place for you, right? And then you can look at billing. All the orders which the customer has placed, they all appear in one place for you here. So if you want to open one order here, so this is basically the customer has placed an order for this particular product, this particular domain, this one is whether it's completed, this is in progress, blah, 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 etc. And you can also impose some additional validation checks, institution verification, etc., all in here as well. So from a billing standpoint, quite a huge number of options available, whereby you can search and filter and show only, you know, paid invoices, unpaid invoices, blah, 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 or you can export this into different, you know, Excel formats so that you can do analytics with it, etc., right? And then all the invoices, they appear in a unified way in one place. And also for receipts, example, all the money which has come into your account, into your merchant account, you can look at all of that in one place, etc. So billing is also very, very, very handy, right? And also from a marketing standpoint, it's very important that you understand how you can communicate with your customer. For example, there are plenty of email options and templates available whereby you can continue to communicate with the customer with custom templates and everything available, right? And for example, this one is here is a custom template. You can define any variables as you want, etc., etc., put your own HTML graphics, etc., and you can send this email to the customer, right? And similarly, SMSs, we have integration done with Value First, with which we're able to help you, you know, integrate and send SMS reminders to your customers. Promotions, RackNav can help you with a number of promotions which you can create on the platform. When customers use this promotion code, for example, they get the particular discounts for that particular product, etc. So when customers buying Azure, they get a 10% discount if they're buying in a one-time option, blah, 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 etc. So RackNav has a whole ton of features available. You know, as I said, 45 minutes doesn't do justice to be able to demonstrate every capability, but let me just wrap up the demonstration by showing you a couple of back-end features where, you know, all the magic happens. This is exactly where all the settings are all done. For example, you can configure the packages and everything here. For example, we can amend a particular plan. You can define pricing for it, etc. So let me just open one particular plan here. So here you can define the pricing options or margins. So for example, in Azure standpoint, you can define margins. So let's say we define 35% margin, and that is the margin which will be applied to get the rate here, right? So RackNav is fully integrated with Azure and Office 365 and IBM software, etc. as well. So going back here again, you know, remember I was telling you about, for example, being able to alert the customer for threshold limits as well. So you can add service alerts to say, I want to send an alert for Azure when the consumption has reached 80% of the budget, send this email, etc. So you can do all of that alerts here. And also one very important feature is Microsoft keeps releasing new SKUs every month. How do you stay on top of this? You know, this is the complexity involved, right? So RackNav can help you import the pricing sheet directly from Microsoft. So Microsoft offers you a CSP portal where it gives you the Excel file containing price list. You can import that file. It cannot get any easier than that, whereby you import the file, load all the plans here, and then you are able to sell services directly to a customer, right? So to wrap up what we have looked at, all of these functions are role-based, which means you define controls within your organization who is able to get the access for appropriate functions, etc. For example, from billing standpoint, you can define some people cannot be allowed to have discounts. Some people will be able to have and send emails, etc., etc. So you can define functions tons of features available, so you can go through that at leisure. We'll send you the deck as well. If you are interested in getting to know more about the platform, please get in touch with us at touch@racnap.com. We will also send you some demo account for you to play with. Okay, getting back into the swing of things, I've pretty much covered all of what I mentioned earlier. So for example, this is a website which we give you, with which you can use to sell services to your end customers. And for example, from a billing standpoint, we do cater to different billing models, multiple currencies, unified billing, credit control. We saw that as well. This is a visual view of the billing options available. Customer self-service, we looked at all the functions, what the customer's actually able to do, right? We looked at services around what he's able to control and downgrade, billing, manage support, etc., as well. And we also looked at the customer self-service portal. And support, we looked at escalation options. Customers can also look at auto allocation of tickets. So you as a CSP can automatically allocate tickets to your engineers based on the product. You don't want to spend time on it because it's very obvious that there is a Windows SME who talks about Azure, so you can automatically assign that to that engineer, right? And partner management, if you are selling via channel partners, RackNap helps you with discount and commission-based partner setup. Credit terms can be set up for the partners. Migration tools. I know we didn't do justice to the partner module in this session, but you be assured that plenty of capability for partner management also available. Okay? And also now looking at the sales and marketing function, fresh sales, renewal sales, we looked at quite a number of them already on the demo. And inventory, we definitely skipped this completely. Basically, to summarize, if you already have data center assets, RackNap can help you track that data center inventory effectively. And this is how a RackNap, rack diagram of your data center assets and virtual machines, etc., would look like. Okay, and then business intelligence report. We also looked at plenty of reports which we saw earlier around, income, revenue, orders, and whatnot, and things like that. And last but not the least, you may be wanting to focus on your core business, right? Which means you want to hand over the pain of managing the associated elements to somebody else. And this is that where RackNap can help you. RackNap helps you with professional services with which you can have. We can help you with digital marketing abilities. We can also help you with cloud migration capabilities as well. And also from a technical standpoint, we can help you with white labeled support as well. Okay, so with this, I've come to the end of my session. I've gone a little bit over time, but I'm happy to take some questions. I'm also already able to see some questions already lined up here, right? So from a marketing module, do you support sending SMS to international customers? We have integration enabled with Value First. So if you have, for example, an account with Value First, and if that plan contains, for example, international coverage, most definitely RackNap is able to. So the short answer is yes, RackNap can help you send SMS to international customers. Okay. Do you have integration with online accounting software like QuickBook or Zoho Books, etc.? Okay, so what RackNap is able to do is, there are plenty of accounting tools available out there, right? So what RackNap simplifies there is it exposes APIs. So it exposes invoice APIs, receipts APIs, credit notes and debit notes APIs, with which you can use that to connect to any of these systems already pre-existing. Also, RackNap also gives you data in Excel exportable format, with which you can import it onto these tools as well. And if you want us to build a direct automatic integration, we can do that as well, stating that RackNap is already pre-integrated with Tally, which means with Tally you can automatically get the data imported into your accounting software. Okay. Is migration option available from RackNap supersite to reseller club supersite to RackNap, etc.? So RackNap definitely can help you with that. As you may very well know, there is no standardized setup for existing softwares as such. So we are happy to work with you and help you with migrating your customer data, which is his address details, blah blah blah, billing information, etc., etc. So RackNap can help with that as well from a migration standpoint. Okay, and how is our data secure? Right. So the good thing is RackNap operates on two different deployment models. One is a full-blown deployment model where RackNap can be installed in your data center. So which means you have complete control over what is in there, who gets access to it, etc. So RackNap's dedicated instance model caters to that capability, right? RackNap also has a SaaS model, and I think one of the challenges which Gurpreet mentioned as a part of his session is primarily, higher costs for entry, which is the entry barrier. So what RackNap is able to do is minimize that entry barrier by offering on a SaaS version as well. Okay, so in a SaaS version, it is hosted in our data center, and we also have restricted access as well. So you can choose from whichever models you like. Okay, and how can we customize workflows? Yes, there is. You can define workflows as you like on the platform as well, and with which you can define, for example, the workflows. You can say salespeople should do certain things, marketing people should do certain things, etc., etc. So you can control that effectively yourself, right? So RackNap can help you with that. And is there a free version or a trial version available? RackNap, please get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com. We will enable you with a demo account for you to play with the platform. Okay, is the dedicated instance model usable on our instance on the cloud? Absolutely yes. It doesn't matter whichever the public cloud it is or private cloud it is. It can be hosted on AWS or Azure, etc. We have a few instances already running on Azure as well. So most definitely it can be done. Okay, can we integrate with our existing ERP? Yeah, it's a very good question. So this is a very common question which we are being asked. So we have exposed RackNap APIs to a number of, to expose a number of objects or entities, which includes, CRM data, invoicing data, etc., etc. So with that, RackNap is actually able to, expose data to be consumed by other ERP systems, etc. So if you have a special request for your organization, we are more than happy to talk to you and understand this a little bit more. So please, again, get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com. Happy to discuss your specific requirements in more detail. Okay, I think with that, no more questions. I hand back control back to Swati. Swati, please take it away. And thank you so much all for your patient hearing. We'll be happy to hear from you any feedback on touch@racknap.com as well. Thank you.